This is my fault. He took my sister as payback for what I have been doing for the last 9 months.
What did you do?
I kept him prisoner in my basement, and today he escaped.
As sure as night is dark and day is light.
We were held captive by Hannah's children and managed to save ourselves then. Help us find her now.
I keep you on my mind both day and night.
He's messing with us. We are playing right into his hands.
And happiness I've known proves that it's right.
He heard the press conference. He's answering back.
Because you're mine.
The new case could draw his attention.
You're gonna use this poor woman as bait?
We work both cases. No one rests until both are home.
I'm on it.
Because you're mine. Mine.
Hello, Gabrielle.
I walk the line.
Been a long time without a chain between us. How does it feel to be free, in the open, and yet still connected?
You took my sister. Where is she, you son of a bitch?
I didn't come to negotiate for Lacey's life. I came to talk about the case.
I will take your life if you hurt her.
You don't get to make the threats anymore. I'm the reason you solved your cases. We are indeed partners. The universe will continue to propel us back to each other, time and again.
Because you're mine.
When I took you those years ago, I thought I was saving you. It has to be different this time.
Because you're mine.
This time, it has to be your choice.
I'll always protect you.
I will do anything to bring Lacey home. I'll find you. I promise.
I walk the line.
Season 1, we ended with Gabi Mosely telling her team her big secret, which was that she was holding Sir captive. And it was one of the hardest choices she had to make, but in order to free them from Sir, it was the only choice to be made. However, by the time they returned, Sir was out of the basement.
At the end of season 1, Sir escapes, and we pick up season 2 pretty much right from that moment, where he is out and Gabrielle is trying to connect with her team and is not getting an answer because she dropped a bomb on them towards the end of the season as well, that she had me in her basement, which obviously doesn't go well for her team. And a lot of them are kind of giving her the cold shoulder and having to process that information. So, and we pick up right from there, and it feels like we never let our foot off the throttle for the entire first half of the season, which we've just completed. The start of the season, you know, Sir is out and has this freedom, and all he's trying to do is get that connection back that he has with Gabrielle. And you know, the basement was contained. It worked for Sir in a weird way, pretty sick way. But it was what he was getting something out of that relationship, which was the connection, and helping with the cases allowed him to have that connection with Gabrielle. He feels that the team of M&A is what's holding Gabrielle back. And he feels that if he can fix them, if he could fix them in a way that they wouldn't need to rely on her as heavy as they do, or in his mind as heavy as they do, then she would be able to free herself from underneath them.
Everybody at M&A shares, I mean, they've all experienced certain traumas that sort of bonded them together to make M&A. So when there was this huge reveal at the end of season 1 that Gabi had been lying to all of us, it obviously triggered a lot of stuff, and we all differently and equally were completely betrayed, completely like shocked, and our whole worlds were rocked. So that's how we ended season 1, and we came back from season 1 into season 2 holding on to that. And Margaret in particular has not let it go. It's taken her, understandably, a long time to come to some kind of forgiveness, which it's ongoing. It's a process, as everyone knows, about that kind of stuff.
I think for Zeke, it's definitely going to threaten how much he's grown with his agoraphobia and, you know, and just his relationship with everyone else. It's probably going to make him feel a little bit more alone because he's, for the most part, there by himself, you know. And so now knowing that Sir is out there, he's definitely going to be looking at his friends and family through that screen, wondering and hoping, are they okay? Are they safe? And hopefully, you know, Zeke, you know, with his tech and his creativity, can, you know, find and figure out a way to be helpful in some sort of way.
He's not only going to be after Gabi, but after everything that she cares about. He was obsessed with Gabi when they were younger, obsessed with them, and you'll see a lot of that this season, how deeply rooted that obsession is. And, you know, knowing how close Gabi and Lacey are, and how Lacey, in Sir's eyes, I guess I'm speaking as an actor, how Lacey in Sir's eyes was a part of the problem why Gabi got away, that, you know, it's an imminent threat. There's imminent danger there.
Sir's out of the basement. It's a credible threat, and he's after each one of us, and we still have a job to do. So the forefront is still finding the unfound, but with Sir in the background trying to find each of us, or Gabi rather, it makes it a little bit difficult, and he keeps popping up in different places, so we're definitely worried about that.
Season 2 picks up with the entire team knowing this secret that everyone in the show knows, except, of course, Mark Trent. And so the dime finally drops for him, and now I'm with the rest of her team with this giant problem in our laps, which is, what do we do now? And that's where season 2 picks up.
I think what's really wonderful about this season is that Sir is on the loose, and there is a sense of that in every single episode. You don't know when, how, but you know that he will appear somewhere. He's always watching, he's always looking, he's always up to something. He's always playing chess. You have a feeling of the cat and mouse that you had in the basement, but now it's a cat and mouse that's uncontained. They're in the wild. So there is a sense of angst amongst everyone, including Sir, who is out because he's figuring out his next steps. You have to remember, their cat and mouse game has been from Gabi being held captive by him to him being held captive by Gabi. So there's always been something, some sort of change, some sort of barrier between them. There's no longer a barrier. What do you do with that? Where does the relationship go with that? Where does this longing go with this man, crazy man on the loose?
People will sort of express their opinions of why Sir helps with the cases, and the word redemption comes up quite a bit, but I've played the character without any redemption. I believe that the reason why he's in the basement is the opportunity to have that connection with Gabrielle. You know, that's what he's always hoped for and strived for, and to be given that opportunity now and to find a purpose for that to happen in the basement, out of the basement. He's going to continue to try to assert himself, but it for me has nothing to do with redemption, and more about the connection.
This dynamic has been so back and forth for so many years. It's inside of him, and in many ways very much inside of Gabi. I think that I would be wrong in saying she doesn't get some sort of from the cat and mouse of it all, not because she wants it, but because she's so used to it. And it does drive her, and it moves her to want to find him, and she can't stand him, and she wants to capture him, and she wants him to leave her M&A family alone. But there's also still an intellectual thing that goes back and forth between the two of them that I think that really moves her.
There's just a lot of twists and turns this season, which has allowed me to interact with some of the other cast, which is kind of nice. because I really, I would only see them when we sort of would transition from an M&A scene to the basement. I'm just kind of in passing, say hello to the rest of the cast. I really enjoy working with the cast and the crew. We have a phenomenal crew here in Atlanta. Really it's anchored by Shanola, and I wasn't aware of her other than just being an actor that was on a great show, but I've really come to adore her presence and how she handles being #1 on set, and she's made this environment one of the best work environments that I've had in my career, and I love being a part of what we're creating here, and I think it shows on screen. It shows, week in and week out. I think that our audience has connected with us because they can see the hard work, the dedication, the love that comes from our lead actress. We have a great relationship, and she's definitely a partner on the screen, and very easy to work with, and I'm constantly impressed by her abilities to be able to sort of light switch herself from being Shanola, who's as bright and bubbly and just genuine and a ball of energy, to playing Gabrielle, and being able to just flip a switch from one to the other. She's always giving and wants the best for everyone surrounding her.
The future for M&A doesn't look promising in many ways. It's shifted. And there's no way when something big like this happens that relationships don't shift, and they need to heal, or some of them will and some don't. That's just what happens when crazy things happen. So I think what you'll see is them knowing what the true cause of why they are together. The real reason is to save those who have been forgotten. And that brings them together because it's bigger than whatever the personal stuff is. And so I think it's a really nice way to show that sometimes you have to be so selfless that you have to work with somebody you don't really like, right? Or that you're mad at, or that you're hurt by, that you're upset by, because it's for the greater good. The future of M&A, I think, makes it because of their passion to do what they do best, and that is to find those who no one is looking for.
Everybody starts to realize how much Sir's involvement has actually served them in a weird way. So for Margaret's sake, I feel like I have had to kind of recalibrate what was truth and what wasn't, and trying to sift through all of that and figure out maybe what came from Gabi and then what came from Sir. And there are certain things that happen in season 2 that Margaret is confronted with, where she also has to make some choices around that, around the possibility of someone being able to help her find her son, for instance, which is obviously her biggest thing, but try not to give away too much of it. But there's this pull toward, well, maybe, like, what if Margaret let Sir help her find her son? And I'm sure, like, in her heart she wants that, but in her moral compass, that's not part of that's not who she is, or is she? I mean, it's just, there's also a lot of interesting stuff around people's fallibilities and vulnerabilities, and how they can be, like, trying to understand maybe what Gabi did, why Gabi did that. So we all have moments of, like, it's pretty intense to have to think, well, would I do that? What would I do? What would take me to that point where I would make a choice like that?
When Gabi tells everyone on the team about what she did with Sir, Zeke specifically, I think he's heartbroken. He's disappointed. He is at a loss. You know, we've come to really trust one another. We've grown from season 1 all the way from episode 1 to where we are now. There's been a lot of emotional growth and bonding that has happened, and it's all unraveled. You know, I think everyone is just ripping at the seams, and Zeke's heart is it's broken for sure, and he's already, in my opinion, very much a soft-hearted person, very vulnerable, very, he's caring. And it's going to be tough for Zeke for sure, just to get back to that safe place with Gabi, just because that's his sister. He loves her, but she's let him down.
Finding out that Sir has not only been held captive by Gabi, but has been helping out with cases is going to be a huge hit. They can't even look at, their victims the same, or not their victims, their survivors, the forgotten ones, the people that they've found the same. So it's going to shake everybody up, and, they have to find a way to reinvest in that purpose and to become a family again, because you can't operate in the way that they need to operate as a broken unit.
Gabi and Trent have a very complicated relationship. They have hooked up in the past, and I think it's a bit of a one-way street at times, but it depends on whose direction is going where. Trent definitely wants more, I think, than Gabi is able to give. And at the end of season 1, he can tell that something is going on with the team. Gabi is being pretty elusive about a lot of stuff, and he can tell that something is going on, but he doesn't know exactly what. When he finds out in season 2, he feels clearly betrayed. He feels that he's not even sure if he knows who this person is. So obviously any relationship that he wanted with Gabi is pretty strained. This was someone that really had a hold over him and still does. It's once he sees the skeletons in the closet, or once he knows that there are skeletons in the closet, it's really hard to trust Gabi. There's certain times where he can't even look at her. They're still aligned in the pursuit of justice for these forgotten people, but they're clearly going at it in 2 completely different ways, and he's not even sure who this person is that he's working with.
I think Don, he said in the last season that he understood what she had to do. Finding someone who's missing for any length of time requires a skill set, but sometimes bending the law. And he understands that the main purpose is to bring people home. And so Don's moral compass is it slides a little bit further than the rest of the team.
I think that the fact that Sir is out there roaming creates a lot of anxiety in all of us. I mean, there's obviously the imminent, the possible danger of him being out there, and that in and of itself is just not safe for everyone. And then there's the anxiety around, it re-triggers a lot of trauma, I'm sure, for Lacey's character, and obviously then for Gabi, and really for all of us, because we're trying to rebuild at the same time as we have this threat. There's this constant threat there. And that's with us all the time. And as well as we're trying to solve cases and find people, and there's always a ticking clock. So, I'm not sure how they're really functioning fully. Season 1, what I found really interesting was that the audience watching the show had more information than a lot of the characters on the show. And that was really original to me. So it's like, I think that the audience was really rooting for, or just like cringing at the idea that, like, is she going to be found out? Is it going to be exposed? Now in season 2, we now know the truth about Sir, and now it's sort of this internal, the struggle and kind of trying to create amends, find forgiveness, and that creates a lot of different relational stories that I think are really interesting. So I think that it's been sort of this, our family of sorts at M&A has really been rocked. So we're just trying to figure out, can we stick it out? Can we come back from this?
Zeke's journey throughout the season has been, at least for me, it's been a lot of fun. It's a lot of emotional growth, a lot of tapping into that childhood Zeke that is still there, and Zeke really trying to figure out who he is, who he can be within the parameters of his agoraphobia. He's definitely going to try to push the limits, I think, to try to grow up in some ways, but with the agoraphobia, there's only so much that Zeke can do, and I think he's really gonna do the best that he can. And that's one thing I love about Zeke is he does try his hardest to be helpful, to be outside, you know, within his world. If, you know, his eyes, his keyboard, his tech, his drones, he tries his best to be a part of the team in a tangible way. So it's gonna push the limits for him a little bit, I think. Zeke and Lacey, I think you're gonna have to really wait and see what happens. I definitely think something's there. It started off, I think, in my opinion, very innocent. I like her, I like him. You know, we have similar energy. But the more time they spend together, I think the more you see that spark starting to happen. So I'm curious to see what happens with it myself. Season 1 laid a really good foundation. It's really pulled you in, and now we get to really peel back the layers of individual characters. Sir's world, especially Sir being outside now, we get to really get inside that head of what he would do outside of the basement. That in itself is, you know, enough drama to bring you in for season 2. Then you add all of the wonderful work that we're doing, the lives that we're gonna be changing and saving. All of those things layered together just really brings together a nice little sandwich of good TV that I think people are gonna absolutely love.
Zeke and Lacey, Zacey, we call them Zacey. You know, Zeke and Lacey have something special. They both experienced their kidnapping at a very young age, and I think some of that innocence and that play is where they really connect and relate to one another. But not only that, the vulnerable child inside them can feel safe with each other. I think that Lacey just trusts Zeke with everything, and after having been betrayed by Gabi, you know, lying to us, Lacey really seeks Zeke's safety and comfort. So we get to see how more of that bond is built this season. Season 2 is definitely gonna kick it into high gear. We thought because we got more episodes that it was going to be like a slow burn kind of thing a little bit more. Absolutely not. It's crazy. I mean, I think the writers do such a great job on not having us anticipate what's next. And we get to learn a lot about these different walks of life and who the forgotten ones are and how the team can rebuild from being broken once again. And I think that it takes you on a wild ride that you get to enjoy and you get to, you know, feel at the same time. A lot for not just the team, but for these people, the ones who we find, the forgotten ones.
The way that season 2 differs from season 1, is it bigger? Yes. Is it darker? Uh-huh. Is it more chaotic? That's part 2. Is it filled with twists and turns? Yes. Are you gonna be crying every episode? Uh-huh. Is there gonna be a cliffhanger? Ya betcha. It is so on a grand scale of emotions, and you felt it in season 1, but you start off the jump in season 2, where your heart is like, I want to catch my breath, and you cannot, because by the time you get ready to think that, okay, I can breathe, there's another twist, and I'm left with the cliffhanger until next week, every single week, every Thursday night at 10 p.m., because it will leave you wanting more each episode. Mark Paul is the best. He is one of my dearest friends. He is my ride or die. We relate on a level that goes so beyond a television show. He gets me. We have similar taste in every way, especially when it comes to work and the professionalism and what we expect in a working environment. But he is a dream, and oftentimes you work and you think, well, I'm never gonna find that spark again. And I was so blessed to have a relationship for 11 years on a television show that, you know, that is still my best friend. And you think, okay, well, that's it. And then I met Mark Paul, and it was on site, and we give each other, not everybody can do the back and forth and keep up, but he keeps up with me. Bravo, sir. Bravo.